Alright, howdy y'all. I just realized that I should check chat box, because I did not configure that. Just really quick. There we go. Alright. So, I don't really have any specific plans for the stream today. My desktop audio is probably very loud. So, I don't have any specific plans for the stream today. Oh, I hit a wall and that did not work out for me. So yeah. It's more of just a see what we can do today. Whatever you guys want to do. And go from there. So, as far as Roblox development goes, I haven't really talked directly about anything recently, but I did work on this. And it looks pretty nice. So I don't have a siren controller on this yet, because I need to make the UI for it. And I'm not reusing the old one, because the old one's kind of shit. First of all, the engine startup sound on this thing is absolutely amazing. Actually, you know what? Leave it in here for a second. And I have the federal signal flash patterns. I know there's no federal signal lights on this, but I have the federal signal flash patterns for, and the timings for lights. And I was able to say, so some of these are quadruple flashes, some of these are triple flashers. And I was able to take those timings, cut them in half, and pretty much match the flash pattern used by the Wheelin lights on here. So you do see the quadruple flashes on the lights here. I did use Lidos with a mix of neons in some areas, depending on the requirement there. So let me know what y'all think, 'cause I typically don't work with Lidos. I know Lidos were a big thing back in 2017 when I was like in Mano County and all that. Most of the Rockport chassis cars use Lidos. And basically what Lidos are just surface textures or surface UIs that have like an image of a light when it's flashing. And I did find it somewhat easy to put those on some of these mesh light modules. So that way I didn't have to duplicate the mesh light modules, make them a transparent neon part, and then have the neon part light up. So there's that. The other thing too is the spotlights now. This is actually the first car in SONY that I've actually put spotlights on. And I don't have it updated in this map, but in my testing place, um, I have made the spotlights functional motor-wise, and it's just a matter of building the controls to work with those motors from the driver or passenger seat, which is relatively straightforward, at least for me, because I have a lot of the code. For me, the code is pretty much built through other applications, so that's not too hard to work with. I'm basically just gonna have to design a user interface, send some requests from the client side to the server side to say, hey, I want to move the spotlight. Here's how much I need to move it by, and go from there. So that's not too bad. Obviously, as is the trend with all of my high-rise light bars, of course they work. This one I actually put a little bit of a wobble in because I was looking at the reference video for the light patterns, and you actually see in the first second of the reference video that they had just put the high-rise bar up, and it does have a little bit of wobble or instability. I can fine-tune that, make it a little better over time. But I think it's like a really, really sort of subtle but realistic feature that a lot of people would miss is just like when the bar goes up and finally locks out. I feel like a little like if it opened up a lot on the wobble and then just sort of slowly diminished that force, it might look a little realistic because I think it's doing a little bit too much wobble towards the end, so it should slightly. But I do have this in 1 degree intervals. I might have to go in halves. But yeah, in general, I think it's just a really cool feature that I might consider adding on some of the other high-rise bars. And this is a charger, so it's short enough that I can put the high-rise bar up in this garage. But the custom engine sound, the startup sound, and the motor sound is absolutely amazing. By the way, these aren't just steady flashers either. They have a little flicker to them because they're following that same FedSig light bar pattern that I was talking about before. But they are synced to the back. The back stays steady, like you would typically expect. But I love the flash on the headlights, but that's what they have on the real cars. I did see some mixed stuff. I'm not entirely sure what light module they have on the real car. I don't know if you can see my cursor. But it's like a combination of this on a larger scale with some spotlights on the side, but I haven't seen it on the Wheelin website. So I'm wondering if it's a weird custom or off-brand light module. So I kind of had to tinker with this, even though, I mean, you see the screw and all that, but in real life, one of the videos that I saw had the spotlights on the sides here, and the pictures, very high quality pictures that I was seeing online, on like the photography websites. I think it was on Flickr, something like that, but it did have the takedown modules, which makes sense because we have the front ones here and and these would be the side ones. So you'd be able to cover the takedown to the front, the left alley, and the right alley. So that does make sense. It's just a matter of I'm not sure what exactly the light module is and if there's a mesh of it on Roblox that I would be able to use. So this is about as close as I'm getting to that. Customized texture. Now, this is an Eonware car, so number one, it's downscaled to a more appropriate size that you would expect for the car compared to the Roblox model, which is pretty good. Because obviously I've mentioned this in one of my recent videos, that the cars in the game are way too big, and not sort of scaled properly. The other thing on the texture end, I know Roblox is working on making high quality textures so that it doesn't downsize them or make them like really blurry. But so you can upload 4K textures with no problem. But you can kind of see it here. There's some horizontal striping inside of that yellow stripe there because I've actually used a new texture that I did from scratch for the 3M reflectives. So 3M is the company. They make all sorts of adhesives, and actually, I think they work with Scott to make the SCBAs. But they're huge in just manufacturing in general. But they also make the decals and like DOT standard reflectives. So I've actually made my own texture for those graphics, and have had to scale them down, obviously, for our texture size. But you can kind of see it here, and it just makes it pop. So I like it. Somebody said that the blue wasn't dark enough. It needed to be like more of a darker blue. Like this was too bright. But I think because I mean I literally color picked this from a real life image, so I'm expecting a little bit of discrepancy, but it's I think it's okay. And I could very easily darken the base color because of how I've set up the texture, where the entire base color is just its own layer. So if I did needed to make it darker, if more of you guys suggest that I need to do that, then that would actually be relatively simple of a fix to accomplish. So most of the light programming is complete. I do need to make the traffic director flash patterns, so like the out, the left, the right, which is very easy. But I do notice that with the flash pattern here, you can kind of see it, but it's synced to the back of the high-rise bar that stays down. So not the risers, the three-piece set here. I'm talking about the 6 lights here on the bottom, closest to the roof of the car. So it is synced with those lights in real life. Now, these are actually running, I think, 2 separate scripts that are doing the same thing, which is okay, but over time, these will go out of sync, and that's something that I'm going to try and figure out if I can get that to work a little bit more efficiently. Because, I mean, a lot of this light pattern stuff I could redo, at least how the script is laid out, so that way I can accomplish. I could probably set this up to activate all of the lights off of one script, which if I did that using coroutines, so this is getting into more technical stuff where I'm actually taking one script and making threads. This is more technical, something that I've been learning about a lot more as of the last year. And it does work. It does work pretty well. So it could be something that I take with coroutines, but I still have to worry about those lights getting out of sync. But if I'm calling them from the same place, it might be a little easier. But then I can still do the difference in the flash patterns, because this one has 8 lights, this one has 6, and the 2 on the ends here are acting together, at least on the flash. However, like I said, I also need to do the stages, and then it should return back to the synchronized flash pattern when the traffic director is not being used to direct traffic, if that makes any sense. So, I mean, there's a lot of lighting and script fixes and things that I can sort of tinker with to make this work a lot better. Obviously, visually, you won't see a lot of difference, but the background has been where I've been really focused, because the visuals obviously look fine. But the background scripts might do a little bit of, might need some tinkering with. But this is also the new high-rise bar. This is the first time that I'm using it. I think it was maybe a year ago. I'm not sure exactly when we started, but I was working with somebody in the community to actually build the mesh version of the high-rise bar, because Roblox didn't used to have one. I was going to try and spawn the car that was here, but realize that right now, with the way that this is set up, it's not going to work. So I'm going to pull up Studio. I can demonstrate that. While that's loading, I can just keep going. So this is the first time I'm using the mesh high-rise bar. We used to have one that was built out of parts because it wasn't on Roblox at the time. And we've migrated to this. And the part one wasn't overly appealing. So I can switch over to this tab. And yeah, that was the part one. It's the same concept, but uses neons and doesn't exactly fit on the car very well. But did function the exact same way. So a lot of like a lot of the light patterns and the legwork was there. I did not make this texture. I think this texture was from 5M. I was just running a test to see what it would look like. And one of the things that I noticed about this texture was the presence of a little bit of those lines that I was talking about for the reflective decal. So I wanted to emphasize that quite a bit because it does pop. So at some point I will be making my own version of the state police livery for my own car. But this was just for, getting everything set up because this car is really, really, really old. And the scripts are absolutely terrible on it. So that's part of what I want to accomplish with this car. But you already see that this is much, much, much smoother. So I will be making a new Explorer at some point. But State Police is not really the priority, but it's also a good... it's a good organization for me to test with, like some of the, like I said, the light bar stuff that I want to tinker with, and like just working on flash patterns. So, and I mean, like I'm not redoing the New York New York City Police Department's highway patrol car until I make sure that this is set up correctly. Because then I could basically just copy this, change some of the light patterns, move some light bars around, and boom, highway patrol. So, because I mean, I have much like when I set up this car, because I was using the Explorer build that I've already had made that I already had made nice, have made. I was able to copy a lot of the general lighting ideas from there. Most of the research is done. This I think is the best part about Project Revamp. Is that most of the legwork is there, most of the base structure is there, the foundation, but I just have to make it better. I have to build the framing a little stronger this time, and build the siding and the house to look a little better from the outside. So this is part of what I'm getting at with Project Revamp, and I think it's working out quite well so far. You should be able to hear my desktop audio. Let me turn up the volume real quick. I absolutely love the car startup because we don't have a lot of cars in SONY right now that have custom engine sounds, and this one does. This one I did put some work into that, and oh my god, did it come out absolutely amazing. That is the Dodge Charger fucking startup sound, and it is wonderful. With an engine motor sound that sounds really nice too, at least an idle. You might have a difference of opinion. So when it's in neutral, it sounds like that if you press W. But when it starts driving too, it doesn't sound that bad either. Because I know, like with A chassis and its motor sounds, sometimes it sounds like really bad. But this, you could hear it. It's fucking, it's so good. And I do have shadows enabled for the lights on the car at the moment. I don't always use them because obviously when you're in motion, you get this really, really funky looking light reflection on the ground. But just for testing purposes and just for display, it looks really nice. Just a beautiful car. So I like Dodge Chargers a lot. I was actually considering purchasing one in real life. But in terms of the amount of driving I do, it would not have been the best option, especially in the winter season. Unless it was like the V8 all-wheel drive Charger that would be way too expensive. So yeah, I do love Dodge Chargers quite a bit. So making this car was a lot of fun. So I did do the classic demo of the state police car. There was a picture that already existed of the Explorer doing like traffic control behind the cones, and I did set that up for a preview that I posted in the Discord. So if you're not in the SNY Discord, I believe the link is in the description. If it's not, then I will attach it to the description, or you could just look in the some of my most recent published videos, and it will be there. So I've already announced this, so the people in my Discord are already very well aware of this. But one of the things that I did for the demo picture was this. Something like this, where far behind the traffic cones, like on a road work job or something like that. It looks so good. It looks really good. This is using the new chassis UI that I've designed for SNY. But this is not the same chassis as what I was considering switching to. I think this is running a the stock chassis that came with it from Eonware. But I do have a decision to make for the chassis, because to my knowledge, and especially at that time that I was starting the conversion process, I mean, I think I started that back in like 2020. But for switching over to a chassis version 6C 1.5, that was the most up-to-date version of a chassis. But somebody had gotten in touch with me recently and said that they had found that there is a newer version of a chassis out there that apparently is official, and I need to look into testing it, seeing how it works, and seeing if it's plausible and reasonable to switch to that chassis over 6C 1.5. I still love this car. So like I said, I don't have any sirens on it yet, because I will actually be making the user interface for the siren controller. So pretty much, I pointed this out on the chassis conversion with the vehicles in the... I threw out... Wow, okay. I think the video title was throwing away everything I built. But in that video, I explained like why I'm moving away from this map and building a new one and going about that whole process. And one of the things I mentioned was talking about the user interface. Having the user interface reflect this real-life siren controller is very, very nice. Because I've actually learned quite a bit about the siren controllers themselves through working on these projects. So this, for example, it has the Co3Z3. If I turn the ignition on, it activates the siren controllers, and they have the ability to be clicked or the ability to be switched using the keybind. So I can hit the air horn using the F key, but I can also click on the button to activate it as well. So things like this, I loved doing, at least that type of user interface design. It takes a long time to design it and then actually import it from, because I do all this design in paint.net, and layer by layer, button by button, I have to import all of that and scale it into Roblox appropriately and then get it to work. So that's the longest part is always getting it to work properly. Like that one still doesn't fully work properly, but that's more on the siren side. The user interface is pretty okay for at least what features are needed on those vehicles. Unfortunately, with some of these, I'm not sure of what the customizations that these departments are using on the siren controllers. Some of them might have slightly different setups than others. But I can sort of program the base setup, and sometimes I'm able to decipher what the department uses or how they have it programmed based on, some response videos or things like that. That's usually where I'll find that. But for the state police card, like the lighting demonstration video was fantastic as a reference for this, but I'm still not overly clear on which version of the Wheelin SLA they use, siren-wise. So I think I'll just be working with the same one that I've already used for the Explorers. And I believe the YouTube channel is coming up on its 6-year anniversary. So there's that. So as far as Roblox development, it's a very slow process, but I personally feel more satisfied with the end result as compared to, the existing vehicles and things like that in the game. This is just way out of the league for what we've had previously. But this is a whole new level of detail in SNY. One of the other things too, so we have the spotlights. One of the other things that I'm going to get into is a little bit more interior design. I don't know if I personally am going to be the one doing it, but I might have somebody else in the development team work on it. But adding the interior to the vehicle would make a huge, huge, huge difference to the realism. What else it would make a huge difference to, which is partly why I didn't add it in the first place, is the performance of the game. So obviously you're adding more meshes, more triangles, especially smaller scale triangles. So that is something that we have to be careful of how we implement. So it might not be 100%, especially because there might be limited references of the inside of these vehicles as well. But we'll see what we can do on that. So hi, Matthew Shea. But just for comparison's sake, let me show you the difference between these two. So this car, I believe, was made in like 2019, 2020-ish. It was relatively early in SNY's time period. And obviously, NYPD Highway Patrol does have, I would say, a lot more lights than the state police on their stuff, because, I mean, they have the side light here. So flash pattern-wise, I love the lights on the highway patrol car, but the detail in the highway patrol car model itself, right? So I mean, just look at the tires. It's night and day. And just the texturing for the side lights around the wheel wells here. It's such a huge difference. Speaking of huge difference, look at the scale of the two models. Like, I mean, from this angle, they look relatively the same, but you can see it from the top-down view. So the smaller car is much more accurate to scale in comparison with a Roblox character. The only problem is, obviously, is we have, like, you know, parts like the hair sticking out. If the player's wearing a hat, it's going to stick out of the roof. If the player's arms will stick out the side, but that's also stuff that we can fix by using an animation in the seat, which is something that I've been considering. Something like, I know there was a game out there, but that had like really, really good steering wheel animations. I don't know if it was it Police Sim or something like that, where but there's a Roblox game where they were actually able to do like steering wheel animations, not just like the steering wheel turning, because the car does have that right now, but the player interacting with the steering wheel. But at least that animation would force the player's arms to go more inward towards the middle of their seat, so that it's not just the straight out Roblox hand like you're holding a Bloxy Cola type thing and it's just sticking straight out in front of you, where it looks really, really awkward and stiff. And partly why I haven't redone any of the NYPD cars or anything on this end is because I have Mano designing a custom brand new mesh of the Vision SLR, which directly follows the specifications from FedSig. I have the blueprints of the light bar. They're not very hard to get. The modeling is the hard part, but I do entrust Mano to do a good job on that. And based on what I've seen, there have been some previews posted in the development Discord. It's way more accurate than anything that's on the Roblox platform right now. So, and obviously these decals, I believe, or these liveries need to be updated, because I've learned a couple of things when it comes to, especially with text, just saving it on my computer. I try and save the highest font size that I can, so that way if I downscale it, it comes out a little bit smoother with the anti-aliasing versus more pixelated. Like this is not terrible, but like something like this, it's a little bit pixelated, could be a little bit better. But unfortunately, Roblox has been scaling down these images, and there's only so big that I can make them. Obviously, if I have a 4K image of the UV map in general, you know, the car might only take up half of that, let's say. So now I'm working on 2K. So just things to consider there. What about decal text? I've heard so many people talking about it. What is it? Because at least on mesh cars, when we're talking about decals, what I've been familiar with is just slapping a part along as close to the side of the car as you can, and then putting a decal on. When we talk about decal text, nobody's told me what exactly we're talking about. Use a decal for the text. Right, but are we talking about directly applying the decal to the side of it while referencing the UV map? Did the decals come out better than the textures? Hang on, give me 1 second. Let's test something real quick. So I think this one has the configured spotlights. So I can show you this. Yeah. Just wait for the motors to catch up because the game is quite populated right now with vehicles that suck. So a lot of these light bars need to be redone and made a lot simpler because there's so many old light bars that are running while loop statements to check for the status of the light bar switch. So let me grab this texture ID and delete it. No, what? Let's do this one. Let's delete this. Throw a decal here. So this is towards the front. I want on the right. No. That did not come out the way it's supposed to. So what are we talking about when we're using decals? Use a decal for the text. You can use the actual model. Because if you're talking about is this one a texture? I know there's one car that I had to do. This one has a decal. Is it, so I think is this what you're talking about? Because I've heard so many people in other discords like, "Oh, use decals. Oh, your problem is you don't use decals." Like, okay, be helpful and explain what the fuck it is and how I can do it. Like, everybody's so critical in some of these like custom vehicle discords and all that, but they're not helping people get to that point. Like, I do it for fun sometimes. Like, I'll post a meme like, "Oh, no wigwags," just as a like, just to be funny. But like, some of these guys actually mean that shit. It's fucking crazy. So the lines and stuff have to be done in the UV map, but all the fine details like logos and stuff. Make a duplicate of the model. Make the transparency 0. To scale the actual image of the logo. Okay, so I think I have a relative idea of what we're talking about here. Let me pull up one of. Nope, not New Jersey State Police. I want New York. So I think I have an idea of what you're talking about. So where? Let me close S1Y real quick, so it's gonna not just sound like constant running wind noise. This is 7113 by 4638. 7113 4638. All right. And what does this cover? This does not cover the bottom, so that's important. So I just need to know what this would go to height-wise. And it comes out to about here. All right, so width, we're looking at 917. So if I resize this to 917, and then I take the text, and I can delete everything above this. Test decal. Because if this is doing the bullshit that I think it's going to make me do, then this is going to take forever. Customs, vehicle decals, need to say police, test decal. Let's just set that as the texture ID. Did not do that. Decal on the right. I see. But lining this up is going to be a fucking pain in the ass. Especially trying to layer it on top of the UV map. So yeah, this is the same method that I did way back in the day with this. Use textures to do it as well. Well, I don't know how a texture would work here. I mean, yeah, you do have the offset, but the texture repeats itself. That's the only problem. But in the same regard, how is this displayed? Does this actually blend with the mesh? So I was going to say you could use a surface GUI, but the surface GUI doesn't like angles. All right. Face the right. Offset studs. I think this is, nope, that's the X. This is the Y. Yeah, we have this duplication here. Notice all the open space. Yes, but it has to be scaled a particular way. That's the problem. I've done this before. And it's a pain in the ass. All right, let me. So with the FDNY cars, the GMC Sierra, back when we still needed those, now they've pretty much phased the majority of them out in real life. But with the GMC Sierra, I had to do that. I had to get the part size for all of these pieces and figure out how to line them all up. And it took fucking forever. And then you get this like weird, because some of them are scaled down, some of them need to be scaled up type of shit. So these are all decals. There's no UV map here. It was so much easier, which is partly why I haven't done this. It was so much easier when I had the UV map in it. It just came out a lot smoother. But let me pull up the just so you can have an idea. just how bad it was at the time. So FDNY, what do I have this under? There a GMC file? Italian cheese. Yeah. Oh no. Wait, do I not have a transparent version of the front door? Why did I make that one colored? But the other ones are transparent images. I thought we were supposed to use the base color. Uh, anyway, it's pretty bad. So let me change my window over, just so you can see this. Should I? Is this under window or application? How to get paint.net to show. There we go. Okay. I had to get the scale for each one of these and figure out how to line up the decal. So like the striping is all different. This is fucking terrible. Front door 2, front door 3, front door 4, front door 5, front door 6. So this is 7 attempts to make one decal. So I hope that there's an easier way to do this somehow. But by the sound of it, there's not. And I'm not sure why the UV maps get scaled down as much as they do. But I mean, I took this, and I actually, because I have the paint on net up now, you can see that there is a texture there. But because this is a 4K image, it gets scaled down to 124 or 1024. So 1024 pixels by 1024 pixels. But it is my knowledge that Roblox is allowing us to upload higher resolution decals. So I don't know when that's happening. Yeah, you could see this is kind of what it looks like in the game. A lot of Oh, is it 10? Sorry, not 1024, 1028. I'm used to the 2048. In Roblox. The same principle still stands though. So whether it's 1024 or 1028, it's getting scaled down. If they keep this resolution at 4K, I have 4096. Is 4096 actually 4K, or is it just my concept of what 4K is supposed to be? What is 4K? 4,000 pixels, right? We know this. Common 4K resolution is 3840 by 2160. We're better than that. This is 4096. We're closer to 5,000. Or I'm sorry, I'm being stupid. I can't math. We're closer to 4100 pixels as compared to 3800. Still fine. We'll take that. Never mind. It's 1024. Okay, that's what I thought. Either way, there is an article that was on the studio page that Roblox is allowing us, or will be allowing us, to upload high resolution decals, but I don't think they attached a timeline to that. So let me pull this up. Chrome. So they did announce this, but I didn't see a date attached to this. As all new images will be. Well, hang on. So wait. We will initially be surfacing high-resolution images for previews for Creator Store assets. So what counts as Creator Store assets? Is this just textures for fucking UGC or we'll just say clothing product? Over time, we will continue to expand the surfaces on which we display high-resolution images. Ultimately, we hope to allow assets and experiences to leverage high-resolution textures, however, blah, 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 performance. We know this. But there's no timeline on this. They just said it's going to be happening, but I don't know when. Decal uploads must be smaller than 8,000 by 8,000 and will be downsized if larger than 1024 by 1024. Right, so we knew this. This hasn't changed yet, but we know it's coming. So I won't have to worry about using decals for much longer. And I think we might start to see a lot of the community revert back because most of the community, I would think has 4K images. I think they have 4K images on their computer, but obviously it's getting downsized to 1024 by 1024 with Roblox. So yeah. So they're supporting up to 8K images. They're going to maintain the resolution with 8,000 by 8,000. That's what we'll go with. So I mean, I could double the size of the textures and make even higher resolution, but at that point, is it worth it? I'd have to redo everything, as I'm already redoing stuff to 4K. We've been doing 4K resolution UV maps for literal years. Yeah, I mean, I could pull up the new skins for NYPD because I think the FPIU that I did was 4K. Yep, that one's 4096, and that one's simple, so it comes out very nice. And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, let me show it. So back where we were here. So the new NYPD design that isn't new because apparently they made a newer one and it looks fucking terrible on the newer one. Obviously, I was very iffy on this. Because I'm so used to the classic design with the blue stripes. But this has kind of stuck to me. The other one looks fucking terrible. The new one looks fucking terrible. But yeah, this is a simple design. You can see the downscale. You can see how much, especially with the police logo. You can see how much it gets downscaled. But still look good. This for like maintaining that texture with the 3M striping I was talking about before. Not really. Roblox got a dumb daughter, a dead dog, and still no AK support. Real. So, but I think some of these, this is old, but it's still a simple design, so it looks okay. These are decals, so obviously they come out really nice. I think they're like full. I think they're pretty much full resolution. The obvious problem is that once again, when I was talking about like how I've learned about the text and font size before, this is what I mean by that. Because this could be a really high quality, smooth decal. It could look something similar to this, but it's. I think this is upscaled when it should be downscaled, which in the future is going to be an easy fix. And then most of these have revamped graphics, which look a little smoother than how they used to. On that note, I'm pretty sure that all of the new skins are in 4K. And they are. So let me go back to Paint.net here. This is So we're talking about the texting again. So yeah, there is some stuff that needs to be redone here. Um, yeah, it has to be scaled down. So I expect some pixelation. Because this, I think I have a 4K image. So I'm taking a 4K image and scaling it down to a small portion of a 4K image. So I do expect some pixelation there. But this is definitely not how it comes out on the finished product. Definitely not this high quality. Because I mean, here's like some of this stuff here, like the stickers on the back. This should be the Crown Victoria. Yeah. We're going from that to this. That's a pretty big difference. So I think the best thing to do is just wait. Fuck what they say about decals. Because if that's the process, I'm not doing it. The vehicles already take long enough to make it as it is. And with the higher resolution graphics in the works, there's no reason to proceed with that. In my opinion, just based on, doing this research here. So yeah, we'll stick with the low quality textures for now until Roblox makes that more readily available. The only problem with this UV map in particular is that I'm pretty sure it was imported by Lieutenant Haywood over in Eonware. But the UV map has 2 different scales for each side of the car. Why would you not make them the same? Like, I know I haven't done this myself, but I have seen videos of people do it. When you make the UV maps on Blender, they have the ability, because you have to scale all of the meshes, or in this case the triangles of the meshes, into particular sizes of how much space you want them to take on the image, which is great. But these are not symmetrical. And I sent a screenshot in their Discord talking about that, and then somebody was like, "Oh yeah, use decals." So that's why I bring this up. Use decals so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, well, you're still worrying about scaling. You're still doing the same fucking thing. So it's just annoying because then I have to, do one side, I have to mirror it, and then I have to scale the images down. Because obviously, if I mirror this, then this logo is going to be backwards. So then I have to overlay it with a properly sized version of the logo. It's annoying. It's another hassle that I have to deal with. It's so much easier when I can just mirror it, place it, and done. So that's the only downside that I've seen with this car. Is the UV map? The UV mapping with Eonware has been kind of inconsistent. Because I do know that there's currently an issue with the 2021 Tahoe, that the UV map does not line up with the car itself. So I'm not sure what happened there. Because apparently, like, if you line it up with the UV map, the logo when you put the stuff when you put it on the car itself will like be pushed back halfway on the front door. It doesn't look right. So that is a concern. But in general, I will say I'm not dissing Eonware in any way. I absolutely love their products. I love the customization. The only problem that I have is with the UV maps recently. But it's manageable problems. Like, oh, the UV map's fucked up. I just got to shift everything over a certain amount. Okay, it's a hassle. It's a waste of time, but it can be done in a simple way. The decal method, I don't know if I'd really want to stick with that. Because like I said, I have done it before. If we're talking about the same thing, in terms of just overlaying a decal to the size of the door. But yeah. And then there's cars that you don't have UV maps for, and then you try to like make one, and it just doesn't work out too well. So like this is a color grid, so I can tell where everything goes. Um, but yeah, I've just ditched this car. I can find a better model somewhere that has a UV map on it already. So I really do hope that Eonware redoes the Tahoe because they've been continuously re-uploading the Explorers, which is fine because I get that they're the most used police vehicle in the Roblox, RP community. But I need to see some variation here. I need to see some variety, and that's where I want to see the Tahoes, because the Tahoes are commonly used in a lot of police departments. So not having them is kind of, you know, especially just not having matching, not having matching meshes is annoying. It's very annoying. Because like it's the same principle that I follow with the fire trucks. That if it's not built by the same person, you can kind of tell. You're not always getting like the same quality. So like if I mix Eonware stuff with TFI stuff, and like I showed before in the map, it's the difference is night and day between the two models. The TFI stuff is a lot older. It's uploaded in like 2018, 2019. But the Eonware stuff is still relatively new, so it's using PBR textures, so that way you're not actually modeling all of the detail. You can let the graphics engine do all that with the lightness maps and all that. So it works out a lot better because you're actually saving yourself on the triangles. You can use more textures, because if a textures doesn't load because the client can't handle it, that's okay. It just won't load the texture. If a mesh can't load because the client can't handle it, it won't load the mesh, and like half your car would be missing. It's okay if it's not showing a detailed texture, but if it's not showing half the car, then we have a problem. My depths run solely FPIU and Tahoes for K9 units. Exactly. And those are legit the most two common police cars that I've ever seen. Is the new Explorers and the new Tahoes are everywhere now. Even the older Tahoes, they're still out there. Even the older Explorers, they're still out there. Those are the two most common. I would say just from my experience, in terms of police vehicles, Tahoes and Explorers. And there are departments that have pretty good fleets of Chargers, and I love seeing that. So yeah, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. The Charger is dead. I know in the police service. I think they're on the last, either on or have already gone the last year of the Pursuit edition of the Charger. Or is the Charger itself dead as the model? I haven't looked into that. But yeah, I think it's a very nice looking car. A nice sounding car in the police package. But Poker, your chat is delayed by a solid 20 to 30 seconds. I'm aware of that. I'm not overly worried about that because I have the live chat through OBS and through YouTube. So if I react to something and then it shows up in the chat later, then it's okay. They canceled the Charger series. Yeah. Yeah. And Corvette and Mustang. Oh, wow. Okay. So what happened there? Was it just fuel requirements with all the push for electric cars now? Is like performance car just dead in general? Like classic performance car? Not talking about those shitbox souped up Mitsubishis and BMWs and all that shit. Gas emissions. Yeah, that's what I figured. I want my gas guzzling car. What do you mean? I need a V8 engine for my daily driver. Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, I think on the Roblox side, on the Roblox development side, progress wise, it's a slow and steady pace. It it really is. And I don't think I've shown the new map, or at least, what's in progress on stream. I was going to, but I think I'll refrain for now. But there are pictures of the new map progress the in the S1Y research and development Discord. Cali wants all gas cars off the road by 2030. Well, fuck Cali. So I know people from California that will say the same thing. Cali sucks. And they can stop preventing people from driving the fucking cars they want in the name of gas emissions, but will create electric vehicles that, when they catch fire, just emit all kinds of crap into the atmosphere. Requires more coal power to power those electric cars. So that doesn't make any sense. We'll use more stuff mined from the earth to power electric cars instead of just using the stuff that was mined from the earth. Either way, you're still mining from the earth. That doesn't make any sense. So that's my take. That's my take on the future of electric cars. Not a viable solution. I see from the fire department side where these things catch on fire and you cannot stop them. Those lithium-ion batteries just there's no shut off if the battery is compromised. There might be a shut off, normally, but if the battery's compromised, it's fucked. At least with gasoline leaks out onto the ground and you just form a dam to contain it, and then you can siphon it into a container or do whatever you need to do to dispose of it properly. Hell, you could even siphon it off the ground and probably throw it into an engine and it would still work. You might have some dirt particles and stuff that you don't want in your engine, so, take your risks with that. But if a lithium ion battery blows up, you're not reusing it again. So that's my take on electric cars. I don't like electric cars. Anyway, I should do something, but I don't know what. I've shown the Roblox development progress. So yeah. I do have Farming Simulator 22 now. I haven't played it yet. I have played 19. I have played 15. I have played 14. The 3DS, Farming Simulator on the 3DS of all things. But I haven't played 22. Um, I also have the Endless Ocean game, but I haven't played it recently. See, there's like so much stuff that I could do. I have all these games on my computer, but I don't play them because I spend time doing Roblox development. Look, is there any FY truck there? Where? in the new map. That's partly why I don't want to show it, because it has the new ones, or the new one, which will become the new ones. So there is a new. There, I mentioned this in the video. Did mention this in the video, but it's it is coming along. So let me jump over to when I talk about the vehicles. So yeah, I mentioned the whole chassis. Switch to R15 right there. Why is this audio not going to where it needs to be? Why are we streaming audio to the monitor that doesn't have a fucking speaker? What are we doing? To my output, please. Okay.
Are also in progress to keep up with the recent addition. Truck models are also in progress to keep up with the recent additions to the real FDNY fleet.
As mentioned, I am working on new FDNY trucks. So there was one that I was working on. That is in the Engine 39 bay in the S1Y map right now. That truck is scrapped. This one is replacing it. And that previous one was pretty revolutionary in terms of its design and the building process. This one throws that fucking into the deep water. This one completely tops the design aspect of the as compared to the previous one. As far as like scale, number one, scale is huge in terms of the importance and the change here. I actually have access now to the spec sheets from Seagrave. So that's a huge difference in the terms of scale. And I actually have the front and back views, which is something that and the top-down view, which is something that in the templates that I've used in the past, those did not have. So, then I talk about, the truck width and that I didn't have any references, and that's another thing that I mentioned in the video here.
Using only side profiles created by users on DeviantArt, I had no reference scale for how wide to make the trucks. So I measured them.
So there was that. And this is built to scale. I'm very happy to say that. But with that being said, that comes at the cost of the addition of more detail. So with more detail, it takes more time to build, and I need more references to be able to build it to scale properly. Because there are some things like the inside of the cab that I sort of have to eyeball, and I'm not overly sure where things should be dimensionally. So it does come at a cost. With more detail comes more time that this will take, and more headache for me. But the finished product, so far so good. We're on the right track. And there's some new mechanical features, some functional stuff that I've thrown into this truck, and I think a lot of you, when I get more into detail with that in the future, will like it. But yeah, it is in progress. I'm not yet ready to make the announcement about it and to completely go about it. But there have been sneak peeks here and there in the Discord, and the Patreon just has it out in the open. Because that's what the Patreon's for. The Patreon is for giving out those like early sneak peek development updates. But it's come a long way, and this has been this I will say this has been something that has been 2 years in the making. I mean 2 years on and off, here and there. It's been a long-term project. But it's come so far. And the good news is that when I finish this truck, it becomes the base of everything that follows it. So building the rest is as easy as just switching out the front and the back, making some small modifications. So there is that benefit. But it's just a matter of, getting the first model done. This is the picture that you're seeing on screen here in the video is the back of the cab. This is where the firefighters sit in the back of the truck on the driver's side, chauffeur side in the New York City terms. And then behind is the officer side door, which is currently taken off so I can do some details that you kind of see on the border of the door frame here. So I hope you guys are picking up on that, because that's important. It's a huge change compared to what I've previously done, which is why that there's a certain level of number one, risk, and number two, a lot more time commitment to make this work and to make this look right. Hey, do you have a pump that functions? Could I get it from you? No. That's a no to both of those questions. I don't have a functional pump yet. And if I did have one, I'm not giving it up. I have been doing some rework to the hose system. I found out some better ways of going about it. So there's this. It does work. As far as, at least not so much like for water flow and all that right now. Working, I mean that the player can pick up a coupling and move it around. This is probably not the most efficient setup, but ERLC, and I think there was one other game that's sort of inspired. It has police cars that are kind of inspired based on Toronto. I forget what it was called. I think it was like Maple County or some shit like that. But they have hose systems. The hose systems in ERLC and the other game that I mentioned are like they have user interfaces. They have UIs where you have to select a certain length, and it will give you that length as one literal length of hose. Versus something like this. Nobody's done this, to my knowledge, where it's multiple sections of hose that are connected together. Preferably, and in the future, this is something that I'm going to be working on, and I can very easily set up with the current system here, is being able to disconnect and reconnect the sections. Having different diameters of hose that can connect to each other, like the 2.5 reduced into the 1 3/4. This is something that I don't think a lot of people have done on Roblox, or at least anybody to my knowledge, with multi-sectioned hose. I've seen, where in ERLC, if you spawn the hose, you get like this big bundle. Let's say like a spring. It looks like it's just wound up, coiled up hose versus, multiple lengths. Something a little bit more similar to Emerge NYC. So I think that would be something that more of the communities is familiar with too, in terms of like how I'm trying to get this system to work. But we also know that the Emerge NYC hose is buggy. So is the Roblox hose. So there's a cost here. So this is why I've been so delayed on trying to figure out how to go about doing this. Because I don't even know what I'm doing most of this. This is experimental for me. And we did see in one of these videos, this one. So we did see, this was the initial test for the same host system that I showed you. But I found some issues with this that were now resolved. Oh, can I have the spec sheet, or can I get access to myself on a website? So the spec sheets are not public by Seagrave. I actually picked up the spec sheet from a firefighters convention where the trucks were on display. And apparently Seagrave is not displaying trucks anymore to what I've seen. At such conventions, which is very disappointing. So no, I cannot give you the spec sheet. Because that is my scan of the paper copy that I received that is being used for the build. And I do have some other ones that I was able to obtain from other people, which are extremely, extremely helpful. I do need higher quality version. Excuse me. I do need higher quality versions of them, but yeah. So anyway, I did notice some issues with this hose. Obviously, just the weight of this was too much, and then there was this like glitchy issue. I found out what causes this. This is because of network ownership, which is something that I've pretty much never worked with directly. I know HASI has network ownership, and it doesn't like network ownership doesn't like anchored parts. So the parking brake system on the HASI trucks that I have now breaks that line of code. So I mean, for me, there's been no need for network ownership, and I haven't had that many problems. You might have a truck fling here or there, and that happens, but it's not overly terrible. For the host system, we need something more reliable. So network ownership is important here. Network ownership assigns a player to be responsible for the movement of unanchored parts, which is why it's used in HASI. So it can, as you can see here, like it can do it on its own. You don't have to have it. But then if you're another player looking at something if you're a player looking at something that another player is moving, or you have two players moving this at the same time, which is one of the goals that I want to try and implement here, where you could have like the backup and the control person bringing hose up the stairs at the same time. Let's say you're climbing 3 flights of stairs. You're going to get all those pinch points. You're going to need that. Because this hose can get snagged on pinch points. So that's necessary. That is something that should be implemented in a fire hose in the game. So I do need to do some more testing on this. But I have put in the script that allows you to pick up the hose, the testing system on this, that it does set network ownership to the player that just picked it up. Could this lead to issues? Absolutely. Because if there's a primary player that picks up the hose and starts using it, and the secondary player comes along, gets assigned as the primary, then there might be some issues with that. I don't know what the solution is. There's more testing. There's more tinkering that needs to go into that to get that to work. And this hose, like I said, is not overly reliable. Does it work? Absolutely. Is it reliable? Sometimes. But yeah, we get this. If you don't do network ownership, you get this glitch because the server doesn't know what to do if a player is moving something. The server then has to figure out, okay, where did this move to? Where did that player move this to? What are the coordinates of the blocks? What the orientations, that type of stuff. And then the server has to rebroadcast that to the other clients, which takes time. This is why we see this glitching effect. The server doesn't really know what to do here. And then, if the hose breaks and you get flung and you get stuck in the ground, then that happens. So there's that. So this is still very much a work in progress, but I'm feeling more confident about it than when I worked on that video that I just showed. So I was not very confident in the system. I was like, yeah, this system sucks. It doesn't work properly. There's no point in pursuing it. There's got to be something that I'm missing. Turns out there was. Number one, the hose that I was using to test with was too big for the scale that I would eventually be using. Because the weight, I guess, was just too much. You can set these parts to massless, but they should have some heft to them in terms of you expect it to be more difficult to drag a 2.5-inch hose along the ground versus a 1.75-inch hose. That's how it works in real life. So there's that. The hose does look a little too small. I do have my scale factor in use, and the hose looks a little too small. But I guess it is consistent with real life. Because I do have that scale factor. So this is definitely still a huge work in progress. And I'm not overly sure of how to proceed. But just trial and error at that point. But this is part of the problem. This takes some time. This takes a lot of time. And, this is a lot of time that I need to, at the moment, be spending to actually making the vehicles and making the new map. Those are the big priorities at the moment. We've dealt for the last 6 years without having a working fire hose system. Is it realistic to have a can to every fire job that happens in the map? No. But we do have something that can put out that can put out the fire in the game. But that system needs work too. The can animation, obviously the switch to R15 is huge. It's a huge undertaking. But trying to give the player more functionality with that too, because the player should have the ability to move the spray vertically. Right now, they have the ability to move the water stream horizontally. They don't have the ability to move it vertically. So games like Fire Sim Coastal Heat, they have this where you can move the hose up and down, go around, and all that. That's part of. I think they use C-frames. I'm not entirely sure how they have it set up. I don't think it's animated. But in general, the premise is still there, where the player needs to be able to have a little bit more freedom with movement there. Because that would make life way easier. But that also comes with the upgrade to R15. I'm not sure where that will take me, but we'll see. I was talking about the SLR before. Yes. Just yes. So everybody can yell at Mano to get that done, and the sooner that gets done, the sooner that I can finish working on this car. In terms of functionality too. So we used to have a functional scrolling sign, but at some point it broke and just didn't work anymore. and it wasn't that great either. The one that was on there. But Jamie has put this together. We have working scrolling signs now. With a comparable user interface to it. So let me scroll past the British memes and programming socks really quickly. And maybe I can find the more recent video. I think there is one after I requested some small additions. Can you add the yes? So yeah, this one has a little bit of, oh wait, hang on. I gotta change the window back over to Chrome. There we go. This one has a little bit of underglow or backlight, I guess, which is what the real device has. Jamie Wallace is an awesome developer for making this system, and I do appreciate that. Mano does have something else in the works that he's been DMing me about for the new fire apparatus, but I'll hold off on talking about that. But Mano has been pretty active as far as why my page is randomly going off with other people's fucking calls, but whatever. So I don't care. So yeah, there has been some interesting stuff, and Jamie did that about 4 months ago. And that will be something that will be implemented on the new cars. Mano just imported it into Roblox, and apparently it's the mesh that he has for what the other project is way downsized. So while I won't show the new map itself in Studio, I will show the screenshots that I've uploaded to Discord, the research and development Discord. So this is the map layout. This is the area that right now is my primary focus, because this I think is the easiest area to build first. Because it follows a consistent grid pattern and there's no random obstructions. Unfortunately, with the other side, we have time, like, obviously we're talking about Manhattan, so there's some areas like you have Midtown. Well, this whole thing is Midtown. What I'm trying to get at is like areas like Broadway that cut through the grid, or areas where the grid might be obstructed. What actually to the left of this image and slightly about 1 or 2 blocks down is where the MetLife building goes and Grand Central Station, which splits Park Avenue in half, and Park Avenue actually goes around Grand Central Station. So that completely fucks up the whole grid, and getting measurements off of Google Earth becomes a problem. So anyway, this is all measured off of Google Earth. I talked about that in my just revamping the map in general to add some areas. So actually, Rockefeller Center, I think, is 1 or 2 blocks to the left of this image. 1 or 2 avenues, essentially. So I think it sits between 5th and Lexington. Because I've omitted Madison Avenue here, just as a heads up. So I am trying to kind of do the map 1-to-1, but also downsize it. I don't want to include every single street of Manhattan, but I do want to include a lot of the important ones. So important ones, we're talking about like areas that have Times Square. That's huge. That's a huge icon, just iconic area in general of New York City. Rockefeller Center is pretty big. I spent a lot of time there, at least in my visits to Manhattan. So that to me has a very special place in my heart. But it's also, like I had mentioned in that video, it's where the annual Christmas tree is. The New York City Christmas tree is huge. It's a huge topic every year. Like, oh my God, they found another bullshit Charlie Brown tree in the middle of the woods of upstate. Like somehow they spent like hundreds of thousands of dollars to get this tree that looks like it's falling apart. They do dress it up when it's there, but every time that the tree is shipped, there's always those memes circulating the internet community. So anyway, Rockefeller Center is important. But yeah, and I went over all this, and Columbus Circle will be added to the map. Just building that in general is going to be pretty tricky, but I think that's a challenge that we can handle. But I do want to focus on a simple area first. I'll at least get a feel for this new map. Where can it be improved? Where can we add details? Like I had mentioned the street details. Where can we add more streetlights? Where can we add like garbage bins, curbs, whatever it may be. Road lines is huge. Road lines. I'm spending a lot of time on. So actually, you can see my mouse cursor, I believe. So let me just make sure of that. Can you? No. So anyway, underneath the red and blue rectangles or squares, whatever. Underneath that is 51st Street. So that's the street that has Engine 8 Ladder 2's quarters on it, and Italian 8 is there. But if I say Engine 8 Ladder 2, I'm referring to that whole company, that whole station. So their firehouse is there, and on the underside of that, and the right side, where it says south of 51st Street, where ST is, that's 3rd Avenue there. That is all marked out. Or wait, no, I'm sorry. I think the north side is marked out. I haven't gotten to the south side yet. The north side of 51st Street, so where that ST, the 551 ST, where the second ST is, that white space is part of 3rd Avenue. I've actually copied the road lanes and the measurements from Google Earth as best as I can. It's not gonna be perfect. New York City is not perfect. The streets are not perfect. The sidewalks are not perfect, and that's the one thing that like I sort of had to accept because I'm a big perfectionist when it comes to the sidewalks and all of that lining up. So I don't have to be a perfectionist. I like to be cautious. But if I make this really clean version of New York City, yeah, it looks nice, but it's not realistic. New York City isn't really clean. If there's like trash cans everywhere, garbage bags on the sidewalk, like that's what. Unfortunately, it is what you expect. Whether or not that's a good or bad thing. So yeah, so the street details, the road lines are getting fully redone and actually built kind of to scale. It's kind of shocking. It's kind of shocking that when all that lines up, it's just so weird to see them side by side. So on that note, what we're looking at here is a picture that I obtained from Google Chrome. Or I'm sorry, not Google Chrome. This is a Google Earth Street View. This is a picture I obtained of Park Ave and 57th Street. Now, at Park Ave and 57th Street, we have the 57th Street, bus lane here. So you have the bus lane, the 2 lanes of traffic, and 57th Street is one of a few 2-lane roads in lower to midtown Manhattan, that area. When you think of the Manhattan grid, you think of these one-way streets that only go, up one even numbers go one way, odd number streets go the other way. But 57th Street is one of the few like crossroads, like those throughways that you can go freely from one side to the other, in either direction. So anyway, what I'm getting at here is the bus. They have the bus lanes, the 2 lanes traffic, the road, the yellow lines, and the mirror thing on the other side. That is to scale. It comes out. Obviously, we have to do the crosswalk markings, maybe find like a decal or something for the manhole covers. I will be probably making a decal for the bus only text. And if I do it, like I said, I'm more of a perfectionist, so it's gonna look really clean, but it probably shouldn't. But at least there's more detail than what's in the current map now. Like fire hydrants. Fire hydrants are huge, especially for the sake of this game. This is an emergency response game where you get to be, and we're primarily focused on the fire side. I will say that. We're a general emergency response game, but we're focused on the fire side especially. So yeah, we have fire hydrants. That's just huge. The reason why I didn't add fire hydrants, I have a fire hydrant model. The reason why I didn't add it to the original game is because we didn't have a host system that was figured out. Now we're kind of starting to get there. So we'll see where that takes us. The traffic lights, I mean, the ones we had in the game previously were okay. We were missing the pedestrian crosswalk signals. Some of the connecting boxes or the panel boxes on the poles, graffiti, stickers, street signs we had. At least for the other side of Midtown, where they have the ones that are attached to the pole and not the bigger sides. The reason why these are the big signs, I think, is because of this major intersection where Park Ave and 57th, because Park Ave is one of few 2-way throughways, and Park Ave is vertical, and 57th Street is horizontal. So yeah, but this is a pretty significant intersection. So yeah, and from the other side, we see this looking to the right of this image. If we pan the camera to the right, we start to get the beginnings of Park Avenue in SNY. So Park Avenue was not in SNY because SNY was referencing the Emerge NYC map. Emerge NYC map does not have Park Avenue. Park Avenue is one of very few streets that has a center median, that has like flower beds, trees, all of that. So I mean, when I was in New York City on one of my visits, I was riding in the back of a taxi. One of the taxi drivers said that Park Avenue was their favorite street in Manhattan because it is the only one that has those flower beds and those plants in the center. So I mean, just for the game design aspect, like we've had so many, or we've kind of gotten used to it with the avenues. Hang on. Sorry. Um, I will be leaving shortly because my younger sister wants to go get slushies because it is 7-Eleven day. So anyway, Park Avenue's huge. Park Avenue was one of the favorite streets of this taxi driver because of the center median. So this is important, and for the game, like for the game design side, this is a place where I think players would enjoy coming and or enjoy driving through. And you have a lot more freedom here. You could do a lot with this and make it look really nice. So, and here's what that would look like. So this is once again Google Earth picture. Just the simple as the sidewalks or the not so much the sidewalks, but the curb line with the trees in the center. And this also impacts your response because you have less places to park. Now you're limited to the one half of the road. Obviously, there's 4 lanes on the road, so I hope you can find a place to park in a major fire scene. But I mean, we have seen it where some people will start walking through the median. And this image. So that intersection you just saw was this upper left corner here, where 57th and Park Avenue meet. So that was one picture facing. So this picture was facing towards the east in this case, towards 2nd Avenue, and the other picture of Park Avenue was facing south from that same corner, that 57th and Park Avenue intersection. The Engine 8 Ladder 2 station is where these slightly transparent blocks are in the center of the screen. Because I'm just scaling that out, trying to figure out what the dimensions of that building would be. So, and the buildings are mostly built 1-to-1 because now the grid is mostly built 1-to-1. So huge amount of possible realism here. But this is going to be a pain in the ass building development wise, which is where the development team I think would be the most strongly suited for this. My only concern is just making sure that the dimensions of the buildings are met. If somebody builds one that's too oversized, too undersized, it's not going to fit in the map properly. So I think one of the big things that I'll be responsible for is making sure that the person who's making the building is given the dimensions of how long and how wide the building should be. Height wise could vary, but typically if you get the length and the width, if you can figure out like the door height of the main entrance, the rest of the building will follow suit. So depending on it, if you get that right. But yeah, this is how SNY is coming along, and it's been a while since I've given like a public YouTube progress update. So at least during this stream, I'm very happy that I could do that today. We are getting there. And I had said it in the video prior to throwing everything that I built away. This is going to take a long time. This is a long-term project, and I have a very limited time right now to commit to this. I'm practically working full-time in real life right now, between an internship and my part-time job. But this, and then I'm going into the school semester where I'm going to be doing a lot of hands-on projects this year. But that will give me a lot of learning experience, which I think I'll be able to apply to this game. But in general, this is not something that's going to be done overnight. And I need everybody in the community to understand that. I need everybody outside the community to try to understand that as best as possible. SONY has already taken 6 years to continue to build, We've been at this for 6 years, I should say. Is the game open? Is it playable? Absolutely. Is this game playable? Absolutely. Can you do a lot of the features that are in the current game? No, because those need to be reevaluated before getting ported over. Because some of these systems, like I said in the video, is just they're so old. They need to be looked at. They need to be optimized. They need to be improved. Even if they're not broken, there's nothing wrong with them. Like they say, don't fix what isn't broken, and I usually do agree with that. But if something is broken that we don't know about yet, at least on a larger scale, when there's more systems implemented in the game, there's more interoperability between some things. That is something that we need to quash now. Because in the software development lifecycle, the sooner that you fix an issue, the sooner that you fix a bug or optimize something, the better off you're going to be later down the line, and the more time it's going to save you later down the line. So that's why I'm focused on doing that as soon as possible. But this is the general concept idea. This is, what could SONY look like? This is the sneak peek of what we're starting to get into. This is a new era that we have not seen for the last 6 years in SNY. And I think on Roblox, this is something that's been slightly building up, and other communities have gotten to a pretty good point in this stage of the process, as far as like making, a relatively realistic map. But I don't think to this scale. I don't think anybody's done it to the scale. I don't think anybody's done it as transparent as I at least try to. I've been relatively quiet about the project revamp updates, and especially like as I showed in the stream, the new truck. But I don't want to overhype it too early, because I don't want to overhype it, and then if something goes wrong, or I have to make a major change to something, I don't want to disappoint people. So I don't want to, build you up to let you down. Like, that's not going to accomplish anything. So that's my thing with the community that I want to make sure that I get right. This is a long-term project. This is going to require a lot of feedback. That, I want to. I don't want to overwhelm people. I don't want to throw everything at the community at once, and then I have nothing to show for it for the next 2 months. I mean, so, but I'm very glad that I can openly talk about the progress updates of SNY, because the more that I work on this, the more like I've learned about game development the hard way by working on this project for 6 years, and I still keep learning about it. The importance of documentation, especially, I think is one of the biggest takeaways throughout the last 6 years. Like, document. We use Trello. I love Trello. And it's been great for keeping track of the progress of the game, and I will continue to use it. And I think everybody as a result, and just as of just the general transparency that I try to have with the community and with the development team, I want to make what we're doing as clear as possible. I want to make the goal as clear as possible. The goal is, let's make a realistic emergency services simulator based in New York City on the Roblox platform. That's great. It's a great goal to have. How do we get there? That's the key part. You got to break this down in small steps. This is a project of projects, which is why it takes 6 years. And we're still going. So, this is the future of this is the future of SNY. I look forward to it. I hope you look forward to it. So very simple. We're in very simple stages now. I mean, we have some new cars like the NYSP Dodge Charger that I'm very happy about. They look like finished, good-looking products. But the map, not so much. The map, I don't want to make it look absolutely spot on yet. I want to tinker with some stuff, get that out of the way, and then it will be go time. But realism-wise, scale-wise especially, I think is the big thing. And I've said this over and over. This might be the third time that I said scale-wise is a big thing. Because it is, in this sense. The trucks are scaled properly, the cars are scaled properly, the map is scaled properly. If those three factors come up, we've already solved most of the issues that I had, at least in the previous map. We've made the Estonia map way more realistic by just doing this. Don't have to do anything else. We can leave the white buildings, leave it as is, and we've already made it more detailed. That's crazy. So, thank you all for stopping by, checking out the stream. If you have any questions, I'll be on in the Discord. I'm gonna go get I'm gonna go get a slushie today. Although I don't think it will be from 7-Eleven, because apparently they only give you a small one. But yeah, the Discord is the best place to get in touch, and that's where I look for my feedback. That's where I post my updates. So if you're not in it, please join it. Check the description of this video. If you can't find it, it's going to be in the description of one of my videos, not live stream replays. It might be in some live stream replays, but the videos are the easiest place to find them. But yeah, like, this is what I look forward to, and I hope you do too. With that being said, it's been an absolute pleasure. We're coming up on the anniversary of the YouTube channel, and as of next month, in the end of August, as the summer comes to a close for 2024, SONY officially turns 6 years old, which is absolutely crazy that a project that I started that long ago, number one, is still going. Number two, is going as strongly as it is. People have come and gone in the community over the last 6 years, but I've seen people who come back. They're like, "Wow, what did you do with the place?" And I was gone for 2 years, and this is completely different. But yeah, it's been a hell of a ride. So I don't want to say that much further than that, because we're not at the 6-year mark officially yet. We'll get to that bridge when we cross it. Or we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So we're doing good so far. I think we're on the right track, and I'm glad that I could provide you with a little development update. And thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Have fun, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you all some other time. Okay, bye.